thank y'all for having us here tonight. I'm Brecklin McMinn, and this is Reagan Lytle, and we are both current Tarleton Honors students in our third year here at Tarleton. We each took Dr. Clifford's freshman and sophomore presidential honors seminars courses and attended his final study abroad trip in Urbino, Italy in June of 2022. We are here today to speak on our experiences with and gratitude towards Dr. Clifford as a dean, professor, and friend. Dr. Clifford's influence extended far beyond the classroom, touching the lives of many students, myself included. As a mechanical engineering major, my interest in liberal arts, particularly philosophy, was minimal until I crossed paths with Dr. Clifford. Now I have a deeper appreciation for philosophy and have learned the significance of an honors education. Admittedly, I did not always enjoy the assigned readings that Dr. Clifford gave us, especially about However, what truly sparked my enthusiasm were Dr. Clifford's seminars. His enthusiasm for the subject was infectious, breathing life into each discussion. His wealth of experience and expertise accumulated over years of dedicated teaching infused with our classes with depth and meaning. What made Dr. Clifford's seminars stand out were not just the philosophical concepts, but the personal touch that he added. Through anecdotes and real-life applications, he made the class interesting and memorable. Dr. Clifford also taught me the importance of interdisciplinary learning. One of the philosophers that Dr. Clifford had us study, Jacob Klein, says, "Man's most proper and specific character is his desire to know." Taking classes that are not directly related to my chosen field of engineering have always allowed me to expand my worldview and pursue my passion for learning further. Dr. Clifford's influence has been instrumental in broadening my perspectives, challenging my preconceptions, and fostering a curiosity that extends far beyond the realms of philosophy. Dr. Clifford's teaching will continue to resonate in my academic pursuits and the choices that I make beyond the classroom.
Similar to Brecklin's experience, I also didn't take much of an interest in philosophy before Dr. Clifford introduced me to it. Before Italy, I was only vaguely aware of men like Plato and Socrates, but by the end of it, I was very interested in learning more. Those next 2 semesters, I took both of his honor seminars and, despite regularly struggling with the material, thoroughly enjoyed each of our topics and the in-class discussions that they inspired. Though I usually found the readings challenging, our class had many discussions together that prompted me to think in ways I never had, and truthfully led to many changes in how I perceive the world, which is a very rare effect that most other classes haven't had on me. Dr. Clifford's clear passion for igniting discussion and passing his knowledge on to others made those late-night seminars a very special college experience that I will never forget. I will never forget how Dr. Clifford tricked us into researching geometric proofs for our discussion of Urbino, or how he never missed a chance to talk about Italy, or how our class surprised him with a cake on his last day of teaching. I don't necessarily pity the incoming students who won't have to read Gadamer, but I do wish that we could share with them the knowledge and experience that came from our time in Dr. Clifford's classes. Dr. Clifford's legacy after 27 years of serving as Honors Dean includes his establishment of the Urbino Study Abroad program. Brecklin and I attended his and Dr. Young's final trip to Urbino as instructors in 2022, and I can't stress how lucky I feel to have been part of that group. When I attended the informational session about the program, it was clear how passionate he was about Urbino and how much he valued the benefits of studying abroad. His clear love of the program drove me to apply that same day, allowing me to have one of the most influential experiences of my college career. The way he structured the program allowed us to have an array of diverse experiences that not many tourists or even other study abroad students often have. There was so much intention behind the inclusion of each event, lecture, and tour that made the trip so unique and memorable. And of course, I will also always remember him playing Night in Urbino for us on the last day, and how it brought nearly everyone to tears. I feel very fortunate to have gone on this trip with the man who conceived it and who, in the end, passed down much of his passion for the town of Urbino onto me.
For this and for the immeasurable impact he's had on countless other students' lives, Reagan and extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Clifford as he embarks on this new chapter of life. Your legacy will endure through the many minds you've enlightened and the profound insights you've imparted. Thank you, Dr. Clifford, for being a beacon of knowledge, inspiration, and guidance. We wish you a happy, fulfilling retirement full of bountiful garden harvests and many musical ventures. And at the end of each of his lectures, Dr. Clifford asked us if we had any Aggie jokes for him. At the time, we were too young and we did not know what he was talking about. But upon research, we have found many Aggie jokes. So tonight we will leave you with this. How do you get a Texas A&M graduate off your porch? Pay him for the pizza.
You don't know how good it is to not be the oldest person in the room. It is strange how we mark transitions in our life by the events we have to dress up for. When you're young, you go to birthday parties, school dances, bar mitzvahs, things like that. And then later you go to weddings, christenings, and gender reveal parties, which thank God I missed. Then you go to silver and gold wedding anniversaries, and then you go to retirement celebrations. Mine is in 168 days. And then when the lights start to go out, we go to funerals and memorial services. But all of these things have one thing in common. They are all involve people. Life is people. We often hear the phrase, if these walls could talk. And I've always found that a strange idiom because walls don't talk. And if they did, I don't think they would have anything interesting to say about us because we don't impact them very much. The true impact is in the people. It's in the people that the true legacy of life is the impact that people have made on us and that we've made on them. Money and buildings are shallow vanity. It only matters how we use them to impact people. Craig's impact on people has had many facets as we see here tonight. I was president at the beginning of the honors program. When it was a small program, few classes, little support, and fewer resources. It was Craig who built the program into what it is today, over 30 classes in the fall of 2023, close to 800 students this semester in those classes. A thriving presidential honors program, a dedicated building, a model study abroad program, which we just heard about in Urbino. And I know in those early days it took tenacity, passion, and dedication to build those things. I know that when I became the first department chair of communication studies, I modeled after Craig because he was a builder and a creator. It was difficult in those days because Tarleton in those days had a structure where it allowed 100 people to say no and one person to say yes. And there were a lot of obstacles, and there was cautiousness, and yes, there was jealousy about new programs. So it took tenacity and passion and dedication to build these things, to get things done. And sometimes that tenacity, passion, and dedication was mistaken for antagonism. But that was a mistake, because it was never about Craig. It was always about the impact that the students were getting from these programs. And that impact is testified to tonight by all of you. I can say without hesitation and without reservation that in my 32 years at Tarleton, no one has been easier to work with or more collaborative than Craig Clifford. And it's not just honors. Philosophy went from a course every year, one course every year, a course every other year, to the program that it is now, 18 sections, 500 students, and multiple teachers. Craig started with little, and he built a program that impacted thousands of students. Now, what the honors program or the philosophy program will look like in 10 years, I have no idea, and really, I don't care. But I'm sure about this. The legacy will be the impact of Craig's tenure at Tarleton, and it will be a legacy based on what impact he had on those students. Great Texas philosopher Chris Christopherson once wrote, "Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose." And I think many of us hope for a day when we can burn our ties and our dress codes and be free to think and say and do whatever we want. I know I do. And once again, I expect Craig to be my model. So, all best wishes. I hope everything works out well for you. And I know that Tarleton will continue on, but it will be a different place without you. Thank you very much.
I'm Kenny Estes. I played on the tennis team that Dr. Clifford coached and became his student assistant coach from 88 to 92. Some of the people in the room may not know that Dr. Clifford coached tennis, but not only did he coach tennis, but he excelled at coaching tennis, just like he excels at everything he does in his life. If there is a true Renaissance man alive today, it has got to be Dr. Coach Craig Clifford. It was only by chance and luck that he ended up coaching tennis. Jeff Matlock, one of the players at the time, reminded me that he was out at the tennis courts, and if you knew our tennis courts here at Tarleton State, they had yellow bug lights on them, so it was always seemed foggy and hazy. So on a foggy, hazy Stephenville night, Dr. Clifford was out there waiting for his hitting partner, and the person didn't show up. And so Jeff Matlock just said, "Hey, would you like to hit?" So Jeff starts hitting with him, and before you know it, the next year, Dr. Clifford becomes Coach Clifford, coach of the tennis team. Now, I don't know how much experience that Dr. Clifford had at coaching tennis before he started coaching all of us, but 0? Well, this is what he did. Not that anybody cares.
Are you going to clean this up a little bit?
I was going to wait until the moment. I just don't know what he wanted to say. What he did in coaching the tennis team in the first year was that he won the men's and women's TIA conference championships in the first year. In the second year, he qualified the men's team for the national tournament. In his 4 years of coaching, he won 4 conference championships, 2 district championships was post-conference, and then he qualified for the national tournament 3 of the 4 years that he coached. That really sounds like a lot, but it pales in comparison to what he did in the lives of the kids that he coached. When I asked something from the team, what would you like for me to say? Tina, who's here tonight, she said, just make sure you say that he was more than a coach to us. And that's exactly what he was. He was way more than a coach. In fact, many of the kids that were on that team are coaches in the public school system or educators in the public school system. So as mentioned earlier, you don't know the true impact. You can look across this room and go, man, you know, Dr. Clifford had a huge impact, but you don't know because all those people left his program and they're continuing to impact the lives of kids across the state of Texas, which is unmeasurable. I will tell you that Coach, it was mentioned earlier that he was a friend, he was friendly, and he was knowledgeable, and he was, but he was in charge. And I don't know, most of y'all probably don't know, but he sometimes exerts his strong feelings about things, and we learned that on the very first night, or the very first meeting. I'll never forget going to that meeting, and one of the players, tennis kids can sometimes be a a little arrogant or cocky. And so one of the kids wore his sunglasses into the Wisdom Gymnasium, into the classroom. And so Dr. Clifford, I will say, he eloquently told the young man to remove his sunglasses, and another man, a young man, to remove his feet. When I say eloquently, after this, we'll talk about what words or language he may have employed to get those feet off the desk and to get those sunglasses off that person very quickly. He also, in his coaching, if he told you to do something, it was not a democratic side. There wasn't any freedom that was just discussed. As Coach Clifford asked you to do something, we had a doubles team, and I don't know if she's here. I thought she was here. I was going to leave her name out if she was in the room, but if she's not, I'll go ahead and say it. Ann, is Ann here?
She's here.
Oh, then I won't say Ann's name. But Coach Clifford may have told Ann and her doubles partner to serve and volley. So in tennis, that means that you hit the serve and then you go on into the net. Well, they decided they knew better, and that didn't go over very well. And I remember carrying them to the next set of courts after we left there, and there may have been some tears, and Dr. Clifford had really encouraged them to serve and volley. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He doesn't play politics. He doesn't play favorites, and he'll never lie to you. And to me, that's a good man, a good person that carries those qualities in life. We had a lot of fun and laughs, most of which Dr. Clifford was just referencing. Will I tell those stories? And I've been asked by those that played on those teams not to tell them. So, no hotel stories. I won't say anything about Alpine. I will not say anything about poker games. What I will say is that every time we went out to play a match or to go out to eat or do something different, that Dr. Clifford wanted us to have an experience. He gave all of us kids a chance. Stephen McCrane wanted me to reference that, Dr. Clifford, that he appreciated that he gave us a chance, but not just a chance to play tennis, but a chance to learn new things. I was from Whitney, Texas. I had no clue about life. I'd never been outside the state of Texas, and so when we made it to nationals, our second year on the team, he took us out to eat at very nice restaurants, and he expected us to order something that we'd never had. I experienced calamari for the first time with my teammates. The second time we made it to the nationals, Alaskan halibut. If you've never had fresh Alaskan halibut, I highly encourage it. We learned what a rare steak was. Whitney, Texas, we must have burnt ours because Dr. Clifford would eat his steak raw. One time it was delivered to me. His steak was delivered to my plate, and then he got my steak, and I had already cut a piece off and taken a bite, and Dr. Clifford said, "Hey, that's my," he probably said something else. But he took that plate, and I said, "Well, Dr. Clifford, I've already taken a bite out of that." And he goes, "I don't care, I'm not eating this." He said basically boot leather is what I'm sure I had. Know that Dr. Clifford in those 4 short years created a legacy that continues to this day. My son was getting ready to come to Tarleton State, and I wanted him to be in the Presidential Honors Program. I was so thankful that Dr. Clifford was still involved here at Tarleton State because I wanted him to experience Dr. Clifford. He had grown up hearing stories. He probably thought most of it was untrue. He found out it was not. The shirt outside that you saw about Dr. Clifford doesn't always talk to students, but when he does, he talks to them about Italy or Urbino. My son and his best friend made that shirt, and I think wore it to class. We wish he would have sold them. It would help overcome the cost of the program. But the reality is that my son, nearly 30 years later, got to experience the same thing I did here at Tarleton State. As Dr. Clifford was telling people on the way in, I wasn't smart enough to be in the Presidential Honors Program, but my son was. And so, even though he wasn't still coaching tennis, Aaron got to experience Dr. Clifford's greatness. Dr. Ron Newsom once said it may have been when Dr. Clifford was stepping down, but he said there's no greater title that you can have than coach. having the opportunity to serve as a coach at one time, I can definitely agree that that's such an enduring title. And so you know, Dr. Clifford was an outstanding coach, an even better person, and probably the best mentor that any of us kids could ever have. I'm just going to say it, Dr. Clifford, you may not like it, but I love you. He's not drawing sappiness, but I do. I love Dr. Clifford, and I love what he represents for our beloved university here at Tarleton State. I love that my son got to have him, and I love that I probably, without him, would never have made it past. I would not have graduated from Tarleton State, and I certainly wouldn't have had the opportunities I have. It's all because of you. And so thank you, Dr. Clifford, from the 1988 to 1992 Tarleton Texan tennis team.
Well, as I've been standing back here listening to everyone heap these praises on Dr. Clifford and flattering him, I realize that I'm one of the last words that's going to get to speak to him. That comes with an opportunity and an obligation to kind of set the record straight. So one of the first tests I took in his honors class, his honors seminar, I thought I was prepared. I got a 40. I told you you'd be sorry. So, now, my name is Nathan Leslie. I'm a Presidential Honors Program graduate of 2000. Live in Fort Worth, Texas, and currently an orthopedic surgeon. I specialize in upper extremity surgery. I'm here tonight with my wife, Amber. She's also a member of the same class, 2000 Presidential Honors. So we have that to thank Dr. Clifford for, too. He introduced us. I'm eternally grateful. I'm speaking tonight kind of on behalf of two folks, both one, the former honors grads, and number two, the current and former donors to the Honors College. I'm proud to be a member of both, and I really consider these, for me at least, to be one and the same. And what I'm getting at is, I don't consider myself a former member of the Honors College. I'm still an active member of it. I say that largely because of what I feel like I took from the program back then. I applied, as most students do, looking at the different options of scholarships. I applied basically looking at the right side of the menu, looking at the dollars. It wasn't about what was required or what was offered. It was just which scholarship is likely to give you the most money. And so I ended up in Presidential Honors, and I realized somewhere along the way, and I certainly realize now, that that was the least important part of the scholarship and the least of which I took from it. And so I want to mention a few things tonight about what I think I did take from it, and I think that's really why we're here, tonight. We have the opportunity to honor Dr. Clifford for specifically those things, the non-monetary, the invaluable lessons that came from being a part of this great program. And to kind of, put that in perspective, I think back to where my mind was, and probably where most students' minds are when they apply to college and they embark on an education and a career and a life. And I think, well, what do they need? And what was this program able to provide? It's a subject we could talk about, at length, and I'll try not to. But one thing we needed is somebody to believe in us. I came from a small town. I think a lot of graduates, a lot of attendees to Tarleton here, come from small places. You don't know if you're able to compete with the larger schools and the larger universities. And I realized early on when I was actually applying and interviewing for the program that Dr. Clifford actually accepts people into his program. He doesn't accept applications. And there's a huge difference. I've had the opportunity to serve on a couple of admissions committees in my career, med school and residency programs and whatnot. And it's very easy to compare individuals based on their stats. It's easy to come up with an algorithm that entails GPA and class rank and test scores. I can tell you that's not the way he accepts folks into his program. For one thing, I never would have
been in it. Another point there is my wife and Esther and Christy, homeschool. Right? It's hard to compare numbers when you don't take all the same tests and classes. So when you become part of this program, I think you know early on that Dr. C believes in you, and that means a lot. And it comes with a big obligation, you know, to work hard and to try to earn that trust. I think another thing that I needed back then and people need still is to be challenged, and not just academically. We can get that from most any higher level class. We need to be challenged in our preconceived ideas and our prejudices and the things that maybe we thought we knew, which of course at age 18 we all think we know quite well. Our moral compass pointed due north, didn't shift in it at all until we're in this class and we're being asked things that I never thought about that. Many people, unfortunately, get through their entire education, they're never forced to answer such questions, and they never come away with that ability to discern differences in the world and life and things that we have to think about. One way to, I think, highlight that is the first paper that again, going back to that class, you can see about the impact. First paper we had to write, no surprise to anyone here, had to do with Socrates. And I think the topic was, is the Socratic method a effective way of teaching? I believe that was the topic. And of course I went to the only source of truth, upon which we can all agree, and I started my essay with, Webster's Dictionary defines teaching. I thought that was all right, but I got that paper back, and it was just a bloodbath. The first paragraph basically said, Webster's doesn't apply. How can that be? So challenging the way we think was crucial for me, and I know it has continued to be for others. And I could go on and on. I do think I want to close, though, with the last thing that we can all use, and that's sort of a friend and an advocate, mentor. And the best example I can think of to highlight Dr. Clifford's commitment to that is the way we've got our relationship sort of rekindled. The medical training life of a medical trainee is long. And you go to med school and residency and then starting a medical practice. It was 15 years, maybe more, before we ever interacted after I graduated. And then we kind of got involved with a research project that was performed by the honors grads here at Tarleton, which was great. And then I started pretty soon thereafter receiving these emails once in a while. And the emails were never, about me. They were never anything that I could do for him. The emails were always pertaining to students, new students, and it was usually the same story. It was this, I have this amazing student, she's brilliant, she's not confident that she can handle the rigors of med school or, to be a doctor, and of course he knew that she could, and then they all could, but they just needed some guidance in how are you going to convince, a 20-year-old of anything. So he would ask if the students could come hang out with me in the operating room or hang out in my clinic, or if they wanted to see the more cerebral side of medicine, they could hang out with my wife and we did. We saw a lot of folks there, had a lot of students, and some success stories. So I think they were all success stories. Some people decided they did want to go into med school. Some people changed their mind and said, no, it's not for me. That's great. But that was not part of Dr. Clifford's job description. He didn't gain any monetary rewards for that. It was all about the students. That's what it's always been about. And so, as I close here, I would just say, speaking on behalf of me, my colleagues here, and hundreds and hundreds of other students, I think Tarleton State University and all of us owe a huge debt of gratitude. Thank you.
notes. And she said, there will be several speakers before you, and then Dr. Clifford will speak after you. And I said, yeah, well, how long is the event? She said, it's about an hour and a half. You probably need this and leave enough time for the good doctor. So I minimized my notes, and we're going to give the time. Yeah, I know. We all know. We all know. We know. 40 years of academic excellence in teaching and mentoring and leadership. And we're so thankful for all that you've done. I remember when I became president early in 2019, my first 30 days, everybody in North Central Texas wants to meet with the new president. And Dr. Clifford had his day, and very early he came to the president's office and he wanted to talk to me about the Honors College. I think we had about 30 minutes scheduled, maybe 45, whatever it was. He spent about 3 minutes talking about the Honors College, and the remaining time talking about what? Urbino. But it was not just Urbino, it was the spirit of, to our students and our previous students, to their comments, it was always about what can I do as president to help these students. And he invited Kendall and I to travel with himself and the students to go to Urbino. Well, that was early 2019, and Kendall and I committed to going. We thought, okay, this means, I knew it meant a lot to Dr. Clifford. I knew that we had a big contingent of students going, and I said, okay, we'll go. We're excited, we'll figure this out. We knew timing wasn't going to be ideal in our first year, but I could clearly see the passion on his eyes. And then we all know what happened that summer. In March of 2020, the world changed. And for many of us in higher ed, came to a complete halt. Except two people. We, Dr. Clifford, I'm going to put him in my boat. We so much believed that Dr. Leslie and the good doctors out there would eradicate this flu-like virus with modern medicine, and we would quickly, well, I'll give you both, but we would quickly move beyond this, and we would still be able to go to Urbino. And we held that belief until about May. And there were only two of us. And we tried to hang on as long as possible. And then one day, Dr. Clifford came over and he said, Doc, this isn't over. We're going to have to refund students. It was a mess. And he had the largest program. And I can tell you, he wasn't sad for me and Kendall being able to go for the first time. He wasn't sad for himself. He was sad that his students would not have the experience that Kenny alluded to. He was so heartbroken that those students would not be able to glean the opportunities that we talked about. And like many of you, I was a first generation poverty student. So many of our students that have the opportunity to go with Dr. Clifford are in that same category because he always found a way to help fund those students. He never allowed the financial barrier, to be the reason why his students could not have that opportunity. And that's when I knew he was very special. When I saw the heartbreak, not for himself, not for the academic program, but for those students. And so we fast forward, we get through the pandemic, and finally, I guess 2 years later, the A&M, Texas A&M system, the state of Texas, et cetera, allowed us to start going on study abroad trips. Well, the first person that scheduled the meeting was Dr. Clifford.
I think I grabbed you in the parking lot.
Well, probably so. And I remember him saying, we have an opportunity to go, and I want to try to figure out a way. I want to try to figure out a way for the students that missed the opportunity to go. And will you help me figure out that way? And we found a way. every single student. We were able to deeply discount those students. So the ones that missed their trip, even some of those students had graduated, but they were still able to have that opportunity because his love was clear and evident. It was about students, and it was about student success. And in particular, a study abroad and how that changes a young person's life. And so it's very fitting that we're here together celebrating this 40 years. So we have the plaque. This is the ceremonial plaque that they received from the dean, at the end of which he is the dean, the provost, etc. And I was given this plaque by Credence, and I said, Credence, this is beat all to heck. I'm not giving this to him. She said, well, he's had it. He brought it back. So we're going to take the ceremonial picture. But more importantly, what I'd like to announce, and we're going to need your help along the way, but what I'd like to announce is, moving forward, we will now change the name of the Urbino experience to the Dr. Craig Clifford Urbino, Italy Study Abroad Experience, and that will forever be cemented. Now, say that we have to get it board approved, so Credence will have to get that. I like her chances. I think we get that taken care of. But one of the things that I'm also going to ask you to help me to do is, in honor of Dr. Clifford, is to continue to share your experiences with other young people and students that want to attend Tarleton and students that want to attend this experience, because we're committed. Kendall and I are going because we made a promise to Dr. Clifford that we would go. It means so much to him. So we're going to take this ceremonial picture, but I know it's less about the plaque, and it's more about what the impact that he's made on these young people. And I agree, Charlie, the impact that if the walls could speak, they would say very little, but clearly the impact that he's made on people will forever last in the halls of this great institution. So let's give it up for Dr. Craig Clifford. At this time, we have an hour left before we get
That was a record for you, wasn't it?
We'll see.
I want to thank a bunch of people. Good Lord, there are a lot of people out there. Some of the students, when they walked in, they're so dressed up, I had no idea who they were. They changed their hair color and get married. First, I want to thank Dr. Hurley. It was his idea to have this event. He reached out to me, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Credence worked real hard on this, and I think Lauren Gillespie, Betty Cryer, Jerica, a bunch of people worked real hard to put this together. And I want to spend just a few minutes thanking Betty Cryer. She spent 20 years, we're up to 21 now probably, I'm out of date, I'm retired. Okay, 20 years with me, providing a great educational experience for these academically talented students. And I was going to say the fact that they're academically talented doesn't mean they're easy to deal with. But my wife censored my talk. But Betty was there for them, from academic advisor to life coach. And I want to say a little bit more about Betty, but right now I know there are so many current and former honor students out there. Could we give Betty Cryer a big hand? And just a tiny bit of history. Dr. Howard kind of did this, but from the days when we had literally a handful of honor students when she first came on board. And Betty shared a closet with a graduate assistant for an office. To the current honors college with 1,000 students, study abroad program, trips to Great Plains Honors Council, tours of art museums in Fort Worth. I mean, I could go on for a long time. She was with me every step of the way. No one, including me, knows more about the workings of an honors college than she does. I never made a major decision without talking to her. And I remember one time, the last year, she was real busy, and I said, I want to ask you about something. And she goes, oh, just make up your mind. I said, damn it, I want your opinion. I'd say I couldn't have done it without her, but I didn't do it. We did. Betty, you and I were a great team. Okay, I want to say a little bit about the speakers. Definitely thank all of you for getting up, and I told you if you said nice things, I would pay you afterwards. Reagan and Brecklin, both Presidential Honor Scholars. And I think they both told you their majors, mechanical engineering, right, and biomedical pre-vet. Y'all didn't change the philosophy. It was truly rewarding to see a pre-vet student and a mechanical engineering student get excited about philosophy, literature, and art, especially in Italy, but even in the seminar. Okay, they're really good students, so maybe they were pretending. But that's good enough for me. And I don't think they were pretending. We need broadly educated vets and engineers. So I'll be very happy to see them go out in the world and do some great things. And I asked them to speak on behalf of the current students because I feel like I got to know them better than the average honor students. There are plenty of other people in the room that would be in this category. But they had 2 honor seminars from me, so did Nathan. And then they went to Italy the last time Dr. Young and I took students. So I felt like, I know them really well. I can remember when I finished teaching the last Presidential Honor Seminar that I taught last spring. They would often stay after class and we would talk for 45 minutes, and my wife's at home waiting to eat. And I feel like, I felt like they know me really well. And my wife said, don't say this because it's cliche, but I'm going to change it a little bit. If I had 2 daughters, I would want them to be like the 2 of you. But I'm 72 years old, so they have to be granddaughters. Dr. Howard. The censored part is Dr. Howard, the most cheerful person I know. Mary said that would hurt your feelings, but she doesn't understand our friendship. When I think of my career, I certainly think about students first. But a huge part of my career and of my life has been my colleagues. I asked Charlie to speak because he represents to me what a good colleague should be. Our conversations ranging from the state of higher education to politics. What was that thing about the events, the gender reveals? I don't even know what that means.
It's not what you think.
Okay, that's the funniest remark tonight. Anyway, our conversations have been a central part of my career at Tarleton. And I remember I read a book by my first philosophy professor, John Silver, who was Dean of Arts and Sciences at the University of Texas, went on to become president and then chancellor of Boston University. I read one of his books, and he was talking about a great professor at UT, biology professor, who didn't publish enough to get tenure. Well, the faculty review committee turned it down, and Silver, who was dean, gave him tenure. And he said, and this is maybe hyperbole, but I think there's a lot of truth to it, a good conversation in the hall is a form of publication. And universities aren't worth a damn without those. Between faculty members and students, between students. Dr. Howard and I have had many conversations on every subject. If I'm trying to think about something that's difficult, he's the first person, well, after my wife, he's the first person I talk to because I want to know what he thinks. He and I have been talking for, how long has it been since the 3 presidents?
Move on.
I've nominated Bill Maher to be president 10. I don't think they'll listen to me. I should also mention, Dr. Howard and I have held numerous forums, arranged, organized forums, participated in them for the Honors College and for the whole campus. He and I did one on free speech a few years ago that I think was real important. And then, anytime I wanted, how are you saying, hurry up. Anytime I wanted to have a debate which would model civil discourse, I immediately think Charlie Howard, and there's Dr. Cross, Malcolm Cross. I can't remember how many, but anytime we were going to have a political debate, I'd grab the 2 of them because I knew they would show people how to have a civil disagreement. And often they read them, certain things. But Coach Estes, where are you? That's Yvonne Lindell right behind you. You did call me coach a couple of times, which is a more honorable, honorific title than doctor, I think. Because you really have to earn that. And I remember one of our players, I won't name him, I'm pretty sure he's not here, called me Dr. Clifford the first year I was coaching because he didn't think I knew what I was doing. And then he went home for the summer, and his dad, who was high school coach, had a talk with him. When he came back, I was Coach Clifford. Kenny mentioned that he played tennis for me, I guess, for a year. And Kayla, she's still here? Kayla B. You're shrinking. She was Kayla Watson back then. She was my graduate assistant coach for 1 year. And I told her I have stories I could tell about her that would get her in trouble, and she said, I've got stories about you. And I said, everybody knows the ones about me. Anyway, when she got her master's and moved on to other things, Kenny came to me, because he was on the team, but he wasn't playing a lot of matches. And he said, can I be your assistant coach? I said, I don't have any money. He goes, I don't care, I want the experience. I'm gonna go on to be a coach. So he was my assistant coach for 3 years. Now, some of you maybe aren't old enough to remember the old TV show MASH, or the movie, but we called Kenny Radar. Because this would happen over and over. Kenny, did you check out a man for the match tomorrow? Coach already did that. Kenny, did you check out money for us to eat dinner tomorrow night? Coach already did that. So we all started calling him Radar. And I said, he just told me you said it to him, Mallory. said, you know, this guy, you know, we knew he was going to be a high school coach and probably get administration. I said, he'll be a principal by the time he's 25, superintendent by the time he's 35, and I didn't miss it by 2 minutes. And his son is assistant principal at the age of 21.
Thank you.
Aaron graduated, his son graduated President's Honors a few years ago, and it was really fun when he walked into my office the first time. I said, you know, I know your father, if you get out of line, I'm gonna call him and he's gonna whip your ass. But he did, Aaron was great. That was very, you know, that's a great, when you teach for this long, you get kids and grandkids, it makes you feel old, but it makes you feel good. Nathan. Okay, maybe I'm the only one, but I remember him as this really shy, quiet, nerdy guy from De Leon. Rob, you backing me up on this? Esther, you backing me up on this? Yeah, but Amber, you told me he talked a lot to you. And when I went to the shoulder guy at your clinic, I said, you know, he was real quiet as a student, and that guy said, he's not quiet anymore. And he did, I think he mentioned that he did meet his wife, Amber Dawson back then, Leslie now, and she's an internal medicine doctor. And Amber, I gotta congratulate you, because I think even back then, Presidential Honors was probably about 75% women, and the percent of the men who were marriage material. So it was really competitive. So congratulations.
Y'all laugh, but it's serious.
You know, and most of the marriages historically in Honors College are still together. There are a few that are not, but they've been overall pretty successful. So maybe we thought of doing plaques for everybody who met their spouse in the Honors College. And I guess we'd have to have a separate grade for the ones that didn't last. Anyway, if I had, I mean, you heard Dr. Leslie speak, and you know, he's not a shy, quiet, nerdy guy from De Leon. A very distinguished surgeon, very articulate, very thoughtful. I've had a lot of conversations where I've really been impressed the way he thinks about things. If I had even the tiniest little bit to do with that, I'm very proud of it. And as he mentioned, I've grown much closer to him in the last 10 years, something like that. We worked on fundraising for the Honors College. He was trying to help corral Ben Lawrence, which will probably never happen, but you know. And he mentioned sending students to shadow him and Amber, and I think he was alluding to this one. We sent a bunch of them that have come up to Fort Worth to shadow them, but Tiffany Lee, I'll mention her name, was a nursing major, and everybody said, why don't you go to medical school? I mean, she was so smart, she could have done anything. And she goes, well, I might want to. And I said, well, why don't you go up and shadow the Leslies? So I called them. They said, yeah, half a day with each of us. And I think you took her into surgery. She came back and said, I want to go to medical school. And she's not here tonight, or I would recognize her, because she's taking an exam in medical school tonight. Anyway, that's been really rewarding for me to develop this new relationship with Nathan. Nathan, I count you as a really good friend. And last but not least, when my wife had trigger finger, the finger that she needs to talk to me, which she's about to do right now, he fixed it in his office. He does hand surgeries in his office under local anesthesia. It's pretty cool. Okay. As I look out here and see all these people, I'm overwhelmed. A couple of you have come a great distance to be here. I know at least one person who came from a foreign country, Colorado. I see people I worked with all across campus, colleagues from all across campus. I appreciate you being here. We did great things together. But most of all, I'm moved by the former students who are here. And boy, the age range is from, well, y'all are still students, right? Okay, so current students to some real old people. I'm starting to say my former and present students, but they're all my former students. In college, I considered many careers. I started in math, switched to pre-law because I like to argue, and then philosophy. As good as I would have been as an obnoxious lawyer, I can't think of any career that could have been more rewarding than being the teacher I've been and working with all these students. I'm not sure where Tarleton and the Honors College will go. It won't be my call. Dr. Howard said he didn't care. I think I care, but I don't know. But I will go to my grave proud of what I did. No one can take that away from me. And what I know will endure well beyond my tenure at Tarleton and beyond my life will be the contributions my students will make, as well as the next generations that will be influenced by them. Thank y'all for coming. It means a lot.